Wow. Wow, Guardian. That is a leading fear-mongering headline. That is just... Although not as scary as this next thought. Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin. If you were sleeping too much, that should help keep you awake now. Retro Future now says, I am so glad I was able to catch you live for once. I am in the process of prepping for the D&D coming up. Woohoo! But I am here and am happy to be here. Sorry for editing. I try to keep what I say PG-13. Y'all can say whatever you want in the chat. Retro says Tucker is just trying to grasp onto any shred of relevancy that he may have and that is very true. After being dumped, I was about to say something just very cruel there. After being dumped like me in high school by Fox News, Tucker Carlson is really working on trying to keep himself in the zeitgeist.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Saturday evening's posted mostly weekly broken news with your host, Trevor Stewart.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Well, hello, friends, and welcome back to Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly presents Weekly Broken News with me, your host, Trevor Stewart. And I'd like to remind you all of something. This is not a news show, and this is not a news show. And I am not a journalist. All of the views expressed herein are 100% correct and verifiable as opinions. Taylor Swift will be time traveling to attend the Super Bowl tomorrow. Was time traveling? Will have been, has time traveling ed. Okay, well, she'll be leaving her concert and arriving several hours before that to get to the Super Bowl tomorrow. Not sure how that works, but it works. We would like to take a moment to say hello to a first-time chatter, the 420 Kitten. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's get started this evening by trying out a new bit. I'm gonna read the first 10 headlines that Microsoft picked out for me, that MSN picked out for me on a given day. And I'm not gonna say what sources Microsoft aggregated them from. Y'all can guess if you really want to know. But some of these are a little, well, yeah. First one, Trump's House allies are sure of at least one thing: he didn't do it. Next, Texas judge who banned abortion pills officially gets exposed for using junk science. Wendy's adds menu item that McDonald's dropped. Well, at least something I care about. Experts say these are the 5 worst foods for your cholesterol. Most likely it's the same 5 worst foods that for your cholesterol that they've been talking about forever. Tennessee man was heading to border with weapons to stir up a hornet's nest, authorities say. Internet divided as Bill Maher skewers Donald Trump, potentially dangerous politics. Really? Really? This is what divides the interwebs? Not the question of our hot dog sandwiches, but this. Not the question of pineapple on pizza, but this. This is what divides us? I really don't think that either of those men are really important enough to really divide the interwebs, no matter how much they both wish they were. They're not near as important as the question of, do you put pineapple on hot dogs? And is pizza a sandwich? Mike Lindell talks up My Store, his all-American mini Amazon. Iran may have unleashed forces that it can no longer control. No kidding. Working fathers are the new target of microaggressions, and they are worried that they could be getting daddy tracked. Gaslighting. Gaslighting. I'm sorry. I had a bit of manipulation in my throat there. And finally, Marjorie Taylor Greene ripped by Representative Jim McGovern. Aren't you late for a Klan meeting, he asks. Wow. Ouch. That's a mic drop. So, our first headline for this week, after that stunning array of, I don't even know what to call it. Our first headline is from theindependent.com. Marjorie Taylor Greene mocked for struggling to pronounce indictable? Indictable? Oh, that's not what they're pronouncing. Indictable. Or read a long number. I don't always get those in the first sitting either. Next up, from KTZV News 21. Hello, Retro Future Now. It's funny how this tale just moves on its own, isn't it? Poof, and gone. You know, this is what I get for doing live broadcasting. Death Kitty decides she wants to be on screen. She takes all the attention away from me. Next up, from KTZV News 21. Oregon Supreme Court rules 10 GOP state senators who staged long walkout can't run for re-election. Quote, this decision upholds the Secretary of State's decision to disqualify the senators from the ballot under a voter-approved measure aimed at stopping such boycotts. Measure 113, passed by voters in 2022, amended the state constitution to bar lawmakers from re-election if they have more than 10 unexcused absences. Last year's boycott lasted 6 weeks, the longest in state history, and paralyzed the legislative session, stalling hundreds of bills. Associate producer note, they made a high school attendance policy apply to lawmakers. Nice. Yeah. Although, I wouldn't mind if some of those lawmakers got, held in Congress for another year. The point of the boycott was pretty important. Next up, from The Guardian. When dead children are just the price of doing business, comma, Zuckerberg's apology is empty. Wow. Wow, Guardian. That is a leading fear-mongering headline. That is just... Although not as scary as this next thought. Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin. If you were sleeping too much, that should help keep you awake now. Retro Future now says, I am so glad I was able to catch you live for once. I am in the process of prepping for the D&D coming up. Woohoo! But I am here and am happy to be here. Sorry for editing. I try to keep what I say PG-13. Y'all can say whatever you want in the chat. Retro says Tucker is just trying to grasp onto any shred of relevancy that he may have and that is very true. After being dumped, I was about to say something just very cruel there. After being dumped like me in high school by Fox News, Tucker Carlson is really working on trying to keep himself in the zeitgeist. But I don't think that a bootlicking session with Vladimir Putin puts him in the zeitgeist in exactly the way he wants to be there. Unless, of course, he's looking to try to move to Moscow. You know what? Go. Go, Tucker, go. You go ahead and move to Moscow. We won't stop you. Kat says, at this point, it isn't shreds. It's more like spun sugar. Gone the moment you touch it. Very true, Kat. Very true. Retro says, he really thought that he had a lot more value. It would be sad if it wasn't funny. You know, it really would be, and I almost feel bad for getting so much mileage, so much comedy mileage out of him. But then I remember the kind of things that he was saying about people like me, or the tragic events of some of the school shootings, or the unfortunate victims of those same shootings. The man deserves whatever he doesn't get. He's done it to himself. Also, the Supreme Court heard arguments around whether or not Colorado is allowed to remove a seditionist from their ballots in the national presidential race. As far as I could tell when I listened on NPR, both the lawyers representing the defense and the prosecution were made to look the fools. However, the lawyer presenting for the Colorado State Attorney General's office had a set of clear and concise statements regarding the AG taking the former president off of the ballot in Colorado. And now, on to our next segment, and an old favorite here. Oh, Retro says he's gonna lurk so he can get things done. Thank you, Lurker. Good luck getting your stuff ready for the D&D game. We'll probably raid out to you, 'cause we here on this channel are all about some D&D. Have fun storming the castle! You think they'll make it? They'd need a miracle. Only mostly dead. He's been mostly dead all day. Retro says that is Billy Crystal's best work, in my opinion. And I kind of agree. Yeah, he was... Retro points out that was a lot of improv. He was playing off of Carol Kane, who was also brilliant. May she rest in peace. You know, that scene was the epitome of what that scene was supposed to be. It was perfect. All right, back to the news. And a segment that's an old favorite here, Escaped Animals or Ark on the Lamb. Oh, hello, Chris, NDA 386. Good to see you. Thank you for showing up. Well, we're getting a whole, what would you call a grouping of DJs? We're getting an album of, we're getting a milk crate of DJs up in the chat. Be a crate of DJs, because that's where you keep your records. Ark on the Lamb, that's where we are. A sound cloud of DJs. I like that one, Kat. That's a good one. First up from Fox 5 San Diego. Sick puppy cured by new parvo treatment in San Diego. The treatment has been in development for the last few years, but so far looks to have a high success rate and generally at only $200 a vial. Previous treatments available for parvo were not only expensive, $8K or more, but had a less stellar recovery rate, with a higher likelihood of the symptoms returning at a later date. Hooray for science! We love science here. Better living through chemistry. Next up, from the BBC, escaped monkey on the loose in Highland Village. Honshu, a 7-year-old macaque. Don't say it in a Scottish accent. Decided to take leave of his enclosure and visit the nearby village of Kincraig earlier this week. After being seen in several gardens, he was safely returned to the Highland Wildlife Park. There is suspicion, but no confirmation, that Honshu was acting on Global Animal Freedom Front orders. Cat says, save the puppies! Yes, always save the puppies. Moving on to some more human news. From Fox 26 Houston. Houston mother, son, fight to get birth certificate. A misfiled birth certificate application from 2003 had led to years of document wrangling, frustration, and circular logic for Brandon Hughes and his mother, Sammy. Quote, here's a delayed birth certificate application. But vital statistics, said Hughes, must fill that out and sign it. No problem there, except it must be notarized. Hughes says he doesn't have a Texas driver's license, state ID, or social security card, so he doesn't know how he's supposed to get it notarized. Unquote. That sounds like a Mobius strip of red tape, which is a lot better than a Morbius strip of red tape, which went straight to streaming. Associate producers note, Throwing this in because of the giant party tomorrow that pretends it is about sports ball, from CBSSports.com. State of Tennessee sues NCAA over legality of NIL guidelines amid investigation into volunteers. Virginia is also a co-plaintiff in the latest lawsuit against the association. To quote the article, the suit alleges that the NCAA has violated antitrust laws by denying athletes their ability to earn full compensation for their names, images, and likenesses. After reviewing thousands of Tennessee coach and personal phone records, NCAA investigators didn't find a single NIL violation, so they moved the goalposts to fit the predetermined outcome. They are stating that the nebulous, contradictory NIL guidelines written by the NCAA, not the membership, don't matter, and applying the old booster bylaws to the collectives, unquote. This lawsuit comes as the NCAA investigates NIL violations across multiple sports. Multiple sources, multiple sports. Quote, since June 2021, the NCAA has changed its NIL policy multiple times, creating a confusing web for compliance departments to untangle. State laws that often preempt the new NCAA mandates have further muddied the waters. The NCAA's initial interim policy put the onus on the state laws, stating that athletes could engage in NIL activities that are consistent with the law of the state where the school is located. In April 2022, Tennessee joined a growing list of states to pass resolutions allowing universities to have direct and public relations with NIL collectives, unquote. Sounds like the NCAA has been taking lessons on doublespeak and confusing policies from cable companies. I mean, the cable companies have to sell something these days. A lawyer for Tennessee has also asked fans not to participate in a planned VOL walk that is scheduled to take place right before the preliminary hearing. The MSN article sums it up nicely. Quote, while the support of Tennessee fans in this matter is greatly appreciated, this is a situation where fans just need to let the lawyers do their jobs. This especially includes you, Uncle Randy. Please stay in Florida. And while you're in Florida, Uncle Randy, please don't get in no trouble. I have a feeling we're going to hear more from Uncle Randy by the end of the show. I have no idea what kind of trouble he's getting in, but who doggy's that Uncle Randy? Next up from Green Matters on MSN.com. A 385 million year old forest in New York is the oldest in the world. Quote, scientists uncovered a fossil forest in upstate New York that offers clues to its nearly 400 million year old history. I was about to make a joke about old people in Ithaca. Not going to do it. Offers clues to its nearly 400 million year old history, making it the oldest known forest in the world, unquote. At least it's the oldest known one at this time. Previously thought to be only 385 million years old, researchers have discovered findings leading them to bump the overall age up to a nice round 400 million. The oldest known living forest in the Daintree rainforest in Australia is 180 million years young. Obviously, they've never been to one of my Jewish family reunions in upstate New York. And moving right along. This month in history from Smithsonian Magazine, February 7th, 2023. 7-foot sword unearthed from 1600-year-old burial mound in Japan. I wonder what they were trying to compensate for. And February 16th, 2022. After 25 years at sea, shipwrecked Lego pieces are still washing ashore on beaches in England. And probably being found by barefoot parents. Legos, the caltrops of the toy world. Kat asks, how close is Gilboa to Ithaca? Well, I didn't know that they were even friends. I'm sorry. I'm going to move right along after that. That was terrible joke. Terrible, terrible. Up next from MSN.com, NASA rover finds damaged helicopter in the middle of the Mars desert. Maybe they shouldn't have gotten their rotors from Sikorsky. Meanwhile, from Looper.com, how Star Trek failed the Gorn. Star Trek is always a divisive subject, so as far as any of y'all need to know, I don't have an opinion on this topic. My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it. Kat says, no, you are not sorry, and neither am I for feeding you the line. My associate producer says I'm not sorry, so I'm not sorry. Now that I ain't in it, it's time to move on to our commercial break. I have a moment to say hi to everybody in chat. Hi, everybody. So, I can't believe I missed the Ithaca joke earlier. During my read-throughs, I did not expect to get that one. Or I didn't catch that one. So, now is the time in the show when we bring you a word from our sponsors. And this week's word is superb owl. A majestic and brilliant nighttime bird of prey that spends one afternoon every February hosting a party to watch really expensive commercials. Definition by Kat. Good luck thinking about a particular sports ball event without remembering the owl again. I'm not a superb owl, and I don't throw Super Bowl. I get it now. Super Bowl, superb owl. And now we would like to thank our associate producer, Kat. Because without her, none of this would be possible. Including that last joke. Thank you, Kat. We'd also like to thank our correspondents, our UK correspondent, who's that girl? It's Jess. And our Canadian correspondent, Robbie Nova from Canada. Both of whom are streamers here on Twitch. We're over there on Twitch if you're watching this on YouTube. We would also like to thank our Discord manager, Marina Ion, at Human Tech Art, who we are delighted to be working with again. She has done a wonderful job of setting up our Discord server. Kat, if you would be so kind as to put that link up in the chat. we are really excited to be, well, we wouldn't be able to have the Discord working at this point without her. Kat and I would still be blundering through it, you know, trying to figure everything out. It's been really helpful just to have somebody who knows what they're doing and can be dedicated to that, you know, that side of things. Hopefully we will be working with her as well on getting the Twitch nice and set up. We're looking to do that about the time that we make that we can make affiliate. We should be hitting affiliate relatively soon, but you know, there's no telling. Which brings me nicely to saying thank you to everybody who's followed us. All of the followers, you guys, you know, that helps us out a lot. We really appreciate that. All of you lurkers and chatters, we appreciate you as well. Thank you very much. And so now we would like to move on and plug our channel friends who have merch stores that we're aware of. If you are a channel friend with a merch store that we are not aware of, let us know and we will add you to this list. First up, Who's That Girl, where you can get your official Who's That Girl merch. Dante's Muggins mug. And her store is at merch.streamelements.com/Who's That Girl, WHOZ That Girl. Next up is our friend Dassin __, where you can get cakey merch, like this cute "Hi, I'm Cakey" sticker, or a chum bucket hat. A bucket hat that has chum on it. That says chum. I'm sure you can get chum on the hat too. And that is at store.streamelements.com/Dassin __. Also, our friend Akiko Kalde, who provided the shirt for Nick 13 to wear, the Bad Times Do Get Better t-shirt. And her store is at streamlabs.com/AkikoKalde/merch. And of course, let us not forget our friend, the inimitable Jeffy Millimeter, who has, pardon me, who has moved his merch to his new activewear brand, Emerald. Quote, 100% the motto is see into the future, unquote. And that is at emeraldbrandproject.com. We'd also like to shout out some of our friends here on Twitch, or there on Twitch if you're watching this on YouTube. Angela, D-E-E-E-E, Angela. Send Noodles, Moosies, Busy Bell, Metamorpheus, Sleepy Scrubs, Evie Something, Kiwi 007, Bex Bexy, Baby Gru, Ghoulish Cutie, DJ Lockpick, and the whole Sunday No Pants Raid Train. Retro Future Now. And we will add to this list Chris. Is that Chris INDA 386? Pissed on the Floor and that 420 Kitten, who are both a lot of fun to watch. They're here on Twitch. Just and they tend to hang out with Retro Future now, hang out in his streams, and sometimes they go on to torture Lockpick and Master Rasta 420, who should also be on this list, by the way. Master Rasta 420. Also, DJ Lumi 242, DJ Jadzia Dex, and our friend, the amazing Wasabi, who is always a treat. Just a lot of fun. So yes, you should definitely go check out all of these people. And we will be, as soon as we figure it out, we will be enabling in chat shoutouts, so we can give you guys shoutouts in chat too. We just haven't quite figured all that out yet. Now I'd like to shout out a few YouTube friends, starting with the talented music producers Pan's Delight and Paula Haunt, both of who just crank out music. Just amazing, amazing tracks. Paula Haunt does a lot of work on an Amiga, which is a lot of fun. I do really enjoy the Amiga breakbeat remixes, breakcore stuff. We'd also like to shout out our friend Alex INTP, a visual artist and writer who goes by the name Mango Pudding on Wattpad and is publishing their translating their novel from Italian to English currently, and somebody who we think is a wonderful person. Also, Lucy 2001, who is a talented young actress from off the coast of Scotland. We're hoping to see more of her stuff soon. And I still left this in the copy. A special shout out to John Lewis, JAWN Lewis on YouTube, a video essayist and dropper of truth with a brilliant and sly sense of humor. Wow. I'll remember to take that out eventually. And finally, we would like to thank our friends who are not here on this platform or on YouTube, but are on various other platforms. Oshays Beautiful Things, our very dear friend Oshay, who we're still waiting to get a visit from now that she's back in the area. Go check out O'Shea's Beautiful Things over at O'Shea's Beautiful Things, because believe me, she has some beautiful things. We'd also like to shout out North Yorkshire's own Jennifer Weston, artist extraordinary and dear friend. And when I'm going to be filming a cooking video this week, not streaming it, just filming it for putting up on YouTube. I'm going to be filming the cooking of Yorkshire puddings and scouse stew for Old Ma Stewart's table. And we will be using a recipe that we got from Jennifer Weston for the Yorkshire puddings. Now, I feel like I should shoot that video in a Manchester accent, so we just cover, that little strip of northern England. From Yorkshire to Liverpool. Our associate producer wishes to give a shout out to @FritzFishing on TikTok, and condolences on trying to fix a 3 million piece puzzle pretending to be a fishing reel yourself. Oh, that sounds like a real problem. We're hooked on bad puns here. Even if it's a little fishy, I'll take the bait for a good pun. Or a bad one. Cat says, oh, so much so, bad puns rule. Yes, that's why we have a whole pun in the oven department in our Discord. Well, here we are, ready for the next segment. From the Midwest to our great northern neighbor to the North Canada, I'm Michigan, and this is What's Up North, eh? First up, from the AP News, South Dakota tribe bans Kristi Noem from reservation over border comments. From the article, a South Dakota tribe has banned Republican Governor Kristi Noem from the Pine Ridge Reservation after she spoke this week about wanting to send razor wire and security personnel to Texas to help deter immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border, and also said cartels are infiltrating the state's reservations. Well, I guess words do have consequences, eh? Next up, from the ABC News, South Dakota has apologized and must pay $300,000 to transgender advocates. To quote the article, South Dakota has apologized and will pay $300,000 under a settlement with a transgender advocacy group that sued Governor Kristi Noem and her health secretary last year after the state terminated a contract with it. Wow, Kristi Noem is really putting her foot in it now, eh? It sounds to me like she's gearing up for a run for the presidency in 2028. Seems like you really have to be hated by everybody to run for presidency in the GOP ticket. Next up, from the AP News, what are anti-crime laws and how are they enforced? The subtitle reads, a Minnesota town used its anti-crime law against a protected class. It's not the only one. The article goes on to say, quote, hundreds of communities across the U.S. have for several decades tried to reduce crime, fight gangs, and tackle noise and other neighborhood problems through the use of crime-free or public nuisance laws, encouraging and allowing landlords to evict renters when police or emergency crews are repeatedly called to the same address. And all of a sudden, we can see how these laws can be used to further oppress poor people by making it even more expensive to be poor. In much the same vein, not artery, the LA Times ran this headline, Why California Was Right to Ban Crime-Free Housing. The article is pretty much saying the same thing as the previous article. Do I think Do I think the powers that be care? No, I don't. No, they don't either. Next up, from CBC News. Vancouver lawyer resigns license after filing frivolous and vexatious lawsuit against neighbor. The associate judge who heard the case said Arbobi's lawsuit bears many of the hallmarks of claims made by OPAC, organized pseudo-legal commercial arguments, litigants, unquote. A thoroughly debunked and wholly unsuccessful class of legal theory favored by fringe groups like Sovereign Citizens and Freemen on the Land. The associate judge ordered Arbobi to pay special city. Oh dear, I don't think I'm gonna have a good time getting through the tongue twister this week. I seem to be getting all tongue-tied up here. The associate judge ordered Arbobi to pay special costs, saying she had violated the oath she took when she was called to the bar, promising not to promote suits upon frivolous pretenses, unquote. In short, a lawyer jumped on something that looks a lot like the Sovereign Citizens legal theory bandwagon and tried to sue her neighbor one door down for the installation of a privacy fence that was installed by the Strata Council, think HOA, homeowners associations, and not the neighbor. This took several months and several court appearances before reaching resolution. The Law Society of British Columbia suspended her license in December after Miss Arbobi went to great lengths to distance herself from them in court and on the record. Last of all for this segment, from WECT News 6, Vancouver, Washington. Man arrested for threatening people with samurai sword at Walmart. This man was identified as not being Uncle Randy. Please, Uncle Randy, do stay in Florida. We don't need Florida spreading its Florida all over the U.S. and Canada. I'm taking a lot of shots at Uncle Randy this week, aren't I? Can you all hear the rain in the background? I'd say it's coming down cats and dogs out there. But then I'd be led to make a joke about a growing poodle on my front lawn. Kat says Uncle Randy needs to stay put. The Florida games are starting soon, and he will be needed. Yeah, he will. We need somebody to represent the Stewart family down there for the Florida Man games. Even if he's not technically a Stewart, he's still a Stewart. He's one of us. His last words are going to be, "Hey, y'all, check it out." I'm going to have to edit that moment. Wow. Moving on to something a bit more serious. Segment 5. The War on Education. From Fox News, from Bare and Falanced Fox Media, students at California school struggling after $250,000 in federal funds spent on woke kindergarten program. I tried to read this article, but it was so full of spin that I got dizzy. The tagline of the article by Bree Stimson is, quote, "A teacher at Glassbrook Elementary said trainers with woke kindergarten told him a focus in the classroom should be to disrupt racism." The article goes on to say, quote, "Students at San Francisco Bay Area Elementary School where officials hired a for-profit company called Woke Kindergarten to train teachers, are continuing to struggle with some of the lowest math and reading scores in the state, according to a report. The school spent $250,000 in federal funds provided by a program meant to help boost test scores for some of the country's lowest performing schools, according to San Francisco Chronicle. But after 2 years with Woke Kindergarten, student scores are reportedly worse." The article proceeds to throw a bunch of figures at the reader to try to convince them that their brainwashed children are in danger of getting crazy ideas like people are equal and deserve respect, or that the Civil War was about slavery. Personally, and I am unanimous in this, I do think that maybe it should be taught in the classroom to disrupt racism. I think that that is a civic duty. I said duty. Of every American is to disrupt the disruptive forces that work against our democracy, such as racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia. These are all things that are detrimental to our society and should be taught how to overcome these obstacles. That should be taught in the classrooms. But moving along, we will include some oh, interesting. Oh, if I'd have known you were going to leave that, I'd have read that before this. Have a good look, Chris. There's been more turning up about this. So I asked Kat if these two articles she linked were resources for an alternative to America, his story, Woke Kindergarten, and Abolitionist Teaching Network. Kat says yes and no. There has been more turning up about this over the week, and I was considering saving it for next week. I looked up the company that was used, Woke Kindergarten. The site reads like an education scam run by a single person. The other site would have been a much better option, at least from an actual educational perspective, especially given that both are supposed to be about the same thing. Interesting. Woke Kindergarten offers workshops but doesn't have any real information on what the workshop is about, nor do they have any external reference materials to use to supplement what they teach. It is all in-house, including the vid books as far as I could find. For me, the biggest educational negative is the lack of any suggested books for children and written by others. Interesting. The other site, Abolitionist Teaching Network, offers way more in the way of resources, multiple viewpoints from multiple speakers and additional teaching materials. Suggestion for further educational reading listening are made. While not all of their websites/training are available online, what they do provide is accessible and has several outside sources. To me, from an education in general perspective, if the board told me I had to hire someone to conduct teacher training, restructure the learning plan, I would choose the second option, the Abolitionist Teaching Network. Okay. Yeah, let's revisit woke kindergarten. Maybe not next week, but soon. In fact, you know what? Cat? Oh, Retro says he's gonna be lurking. It's time to start D&D, and he's gonna spin some fire tunes before that. So I will give all of you who are watching now on Twitch a moment to go over and open up Retro's, open up a tab for Retro and put that music on, because, it's good. Good tracks. Are you back? See what I'm saying, man? Retro has got some fire tracks. Yeah, Cat. We may be doing a shortened set of streams next weekend. On Sunday, we have Cat has a previous engagement. And on Saturday, I might have something I need to go take care of. So what we might do is have shorter streams on both Saturday and Sunday this next week. And we could do a deeper dive into woke kindergarten. Because something about that is woke kindergarten. I can't imagine a leftist being so on the nose with naming. In fact, leftists tend not to say woke anymore because it's been turned into a rightist dog whistle. Makes me wonder if woke kindergarten is one person trying to ruin an idea. That's my working theory, that it's one or a few people trying to undermine the idea of teaching the truth in schools. Well, moving on to more of the war against education. From KOCO News 5. Oh. Kat says we can revisit this one near the end of the month. I don't think the goal is to ruin an idea. I personally think the goal is to cash in on the idea. Well, I think we need to... I mean, I could see that. I can see that. I think we need to look into this person, this group, to see if it is, merely shallow greed or a nefarious attempt to undermine. Well, so moving on. Kat says, yeah, I'm working on it. Thank you, Kat. Again, thank you. You do make all of this possible. Moving on to something from Coco News 5. Ryan Walters claims media put out deliberate lie on $50,000 bonus clawbacks. The underwhelming attendant, not superintendent, underwhelming attendant Whimper is continuing his sludge into February, deciding that the mercenary teachers were better than terrorist teachers. Whimper initiated sign-on bonuses to fill empty teaching positions. We're still trying to figure out what the difference between giving someone hazard pay or a bonus really is. Now he is demanding that several teachers give back the money. At the moment, it is unclear exactly how many teachers are effective, but according to Weiner, the bonuses are being demanded back because the teachers falsified information, including not having taught in Oklahoma the previous year. However, quote, KOCO5 obtained a copy of a sample $15,000 contract from Dan Isett, Director of Communications for the Oklahoma State Department of Education, and couldn't find the terms Walters referenced, unquote. As of February 1st, at least one affected teacher has filed a civil suit against Wonkers and the State Department of Education for defamation. A related article from the Atlanta Black Star News mentions that Walters, a conservative Republican known for culture war stances, also faces allegations of misspending, as well as 7 lawsuits in federal and state courts involving a panoply of Oklahoma teachers, schools, and former department employees. An audit revealed over $1.7 million in non-educational expenses from COVID-19 relief funds, and recent reports also questioned his spending on out-of-state travel and entertainment, violating an executive order restricting such expenses, unquote. Whoo, doggies, he sounds like he's in some trouble. Sounds like the kind of trouble where your parents would use all 3 names when they called you. And finally, we come to Why, Florida, Why? Our final segment of the week. The segment that finds us asking these questions over and over and over again. Why, Florida? Why? And usually the answer is 'cause Florida gonna Florida. Yep, y'all. First, brief update on a story from last week via Fox 35 Orlando. Florida Mom's OnlyFans card decal leads to kids' expulsion from Christian school. While the whole expulsion letter was not published, here is a telling quote that was shared. Quote, "We asked you to remove the advertisement or park off site. We hoped the loving confrontation would cause you to reconsider and repent of these sins. We hoped to continue ministering to your children and hoped that the conversation would result in your repentance and a change of your behavior." Yep, despite parking off campus as asked by the school, or as asked, the school decided to expel the children. It is also noted that, quote, "If Klein removes the decals and takes down her OnlyFans account and desires to seek repentance and restoration, school leadership said that they would reconsider reinstating her children," unquote. Yeah, no. Thanks, but nah. I don't think you can seek repentance and restoration from those who have clearly forgotten. Judge not, lest ye be judged. And let he who is without sin cast the first stone. As a pagan and an outsider, I find this all just hilarious. Also from Fox 35, meteor that lit up Florida sky mistaken for boat in distress. Sounds bad, but I do understand how a streak of fire over the water could be mistaken for a flare. Next up from WPGL News 10, Governor DeSantis deploys Florida troops to southern border. Because why not? At least he sent them to Texas where there is a border and not to Key Largo, which is mostly a beach. God bless his pea-picking little heart. Next up from the Miami Herald, 19-year-old man led a 100-mile-an-hour chase for fun, Florida cops say. Quote, "When Corporal Tripp asked him why he fled, the suspect stated he thought he could get away with it and that it would be fun," unquote. Sounds like a plan a 19-year-old or Uncle Randy would come up with. Speedy suspect states satisfaction in scorning state statutes, state skylarking, and stirring the pot. Not quite. Let me try that again. Speedy suspect states satisfaction in scorning state statutes, state skylarking, and stirring the pot, y'all. Nailed it. So, friends, thank you for joining us. This has been another episode of Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly presents Weekly Broken News. With me, your host, Trevor Stewart 1308. And don't forget to join us again, same Trev time, same Trev channel, for a live episode of Gastrophilia, where I may be taking questions, having conversations, or just stuffing my gob. Stick around for the raid. We will be raiding out to Retro Future Now because, you know, fire tunes and D&D. How can I say no? And as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA, double deuces. I'm out, y'all.